Hey guys, Carl from Moose Plays. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Everdell Farshore from designers James and Clarissa A and publishers Starling Games. This is a sort of hand management, worker placement, tableau building game that is also a sequel to the wildly popular Everdell, and also the first in the new Everdell Edge of the Map series. Disclaimer, I was given a review copy of this game for this video, but as always I will do my best to give you my own honest opinion on the game. With that said, let's head down to the table to see how the solo mode in this one plays, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think. To set up a solo game of Everdell Farshore, begin by placing the game board out on the table. When placing out the game board, you would generally also be placing out this giant sort of lighthouse piece at the top up here, but realistically it only serves to hold some meeples on these two little levels, and it's really not needed for gameplay, and I don't really have space on the camera for this playthrough, so I'm just going to leave this off to the side, but I wanted to show you that this does come in the game box. Next, place out the map tiles that look like this. Each type of map tile is going to have different values of 2, 1, or 0, but in the case of this solo mode, we will only be placing out 1, 2, and 1, 1 for each of the 6 different types up here in this area right here. Next, we'll place out the island tiles for the game. Generally, you place out 1 island per player in the game. In the solo mode, the AI doesn't count for that, so despite being many island tiles in the game, for the solo mode, we will simply be selecting 1, and that will place out right here on the first island. Next, we're going to be placing out the windrose tiles that you see here, A and B. I'll give those a shuffle. We'll put out 2 stacks right here, 1 stack of A and 1 stack of B, then revealing the top tile of each stack, like that. Next, in this large central area is where we will be placing out the cards for the game, putting them out in 2 rows of 4 or 8 cards for the supply. There is a giant stack of those cards, so giving them a shuffle, placing out 8 here, and then I'll just set the rest of them off up here in the top corner. And then finally, to finish setup of the main board, we'll place out the resources, the wood, the seaweed, the gems, the mushrooms, and then also the shells that are used to keep track of extra points, as well as the treasure chests. So you'll see that the driftwood, the seaweed, the gems, and the mushrooms are out here in sort of the associated locations, and I'll explain that when I get into gameplay. But for the solo mode, since I don't have any islands here, and just to save space on camera, I have put the shells and the treasure chests here. There are some more treasure chests, but it was overwhelming, so I set some of them off to the side of the screen. Next, to set up our player area, first we need to choose a color. And for this playthrough, I will be playing as these brown sort of squirrel type creatures. So you're going to take 5 meeples of your type, 6 meeples of your type, and 1 boat. One of those meeples will immediately go straight into the boat. And the boat will get set off up here at the start space on this track along the outside. Now normally you would place it outside like this, racing around the edge of the board. But just to save space, I will be stacking them on top of the board, and we'll just place them like this on each space as it goes around. Then 3 more of these meeples will get placed out in the 3 different spaces for the upcoming seasons. Now those are the meeples that would get stacked on top of the lighthouse if you were using the lighthouse, but for right now, I'll just place them sort of up here on each of these spaces. And finally, the last 2 just go into my supply. And then adding to my supply, I will also take 3 of these anchors. And we will also start with a hand of 5 cards. Next, for the AI character, we will do similarly. And the AI for this playthrough will be playing as these red sort of lobster-looking people or creatures. And again, for them, one of them will instantly go on the boat and will be placed out here at the start space with us. 3 of them will go up at the top of the board like ours did. And the remaining 2 will go into their own supply, which I'll store up here at the top of the board. Next, to continue setting up the AI area, we will first need to pull out the sort of player guide or player aid for the solo mode. the sort of main player or main AI card for Captain Bonnie Redclaw. That is the AI I will be playing against. And I'll set those down like that. And as we set this down, I need to choose a difficulty. So actually, let me pull that back up so I can show you. I'm going to need to choose a difficulty for the AI. Bashful, bold, brilliant, or breathtaking. For this playthrough, I will be picking bold for the difficulty level. So I'm going to take an anchor like the anchors we got and set it pointing to that on the card. So actually, let me go ahead and swap those just so the anchor is not in the way. But other than this one anchor that's setting the difficulty level, the AI does not receive any anchors. Next, in addition to this, the AI will get its sort of automa deck that's going to determine many of the actions that the AI is taking. So I'll give that a shuffle, set that up there as well, leaving some space for a discard. And then finally, we're going to use this tracker card for the AI. This is going to sort of help the AI determine which cards it's going to take as we go through gameplay. And I'll explain how that works in just a minute, but I'm going to set that out. And then on here, I need to take one of each of the 5 different colors representing the 5 different types of cards in the game, mixing those up, and then pulling them out randomly, setting them on that card in, again, a random order. But then once they're set out on that card, I need to then adjust them all to a different starting level. And that's going to be represented sort of by these map tokens over here, because that's going to sort of help the AI work towards the goal scoring just like I will be in gameplay. Which means the green will stay at 4. The blue, brown, and red are actually going to move up to 3, like that, because that's how many they need to score for that goal card. And the purple here will move up to 2 to start. That's upside down, doesn't really matter. That goes up to 2, like that. And then finally, to finish setting up the AI, they will also start with a hand of cards, but their hand of cards is only 2 cards. So I simply take 2 cards face down from the deck as their starting hand, and I will just set that right there. And with that, we are all set up for gameplay. So Everdell Farshore is going to play out over a series of 4 rounds, or in this case seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall. And during each season, we will take turns, both myself and the AI, starting with me, either choosing to place out our worker meeples in the worker placement spots, or building buildings or creatures into our tableau. And that tableau is ultimately, for me, going to be a maximum of 15 cards. So you'll see I'll set out 3 rows of 5 as I start placing out both the construction and critter cards. But let me start by talking about the worker placement spots, because those are sort of easier to explain and understand. And then I'll talk more about the cards, because the card play is ultimately the sort of core mechanism of this game. So first, there are the 4 main placement spots up here, and you can see there are only one sort of footprint on each of those 4 spots, meaning only one worker can ever be placed on that spot in any given round. And placing in those 4 spots will simply get you whatever resources are printed there. So in this case, I get 3 driftwood, 2 seaweed, 1 crystal, and 1 card, meaning a card from the top of the deck. Any card draw is always from the top of the deck unless it says otherwise specifically. And then this last space would just get me 2 mushrooms. Down here, this island is sort of an additional one of those resource spaces. In this case, I can get 1 of any resource, that's a wild symbol, plus 2 cards. And this time it says deck or bay. So I could take 2 cards from here, 2 cards from here, or any combination of here and there. So 1 and 1 as well. On either side of the board here, you see these spaces, and actually up here as well, that have more than 1 footprint. And what that means is any number of meeples can be placed in that spot. If I place in the docks, I can discard up to 3 cards from my hand, and then gain 1 wild resource for every card that I did discard while there. The lookout is going to allow me to discard any number of cards from my hand, and then draw back up to hand limit from either the deck or the bay. And in this case, the hand limit for us will always be 8 cards. And then finally up here at the dunes, if I go here, I can claim one of these map tokens that I qualify for. But that's not going to make any sense until I explain how the card play works in this game. But again, one of the options I have on my turn is to place one of my workers out on one of those worker placement spots to take the actions that I just explained to you. My other option is to play a card either from my hand or from the bay into my tableau. And the way that's going to work is every card has a cost printed over here on the left side. So this one would be 1 wild resource, or sorry, 3 wild resources. Again, 3 wild resources. This one is 3 mushrooms, and I'm going to point this out. This is a critter card, and all critter cards are going to require mushrooms to place out. Here we got 2 seaweed, and all of the construction buildings are going to use some combination of the driftwood, the seaweed, and the crystals to build. And when you build a card, you're going to place it out, and what you do is going to be dependent on the type of card that you place out. So in my hands right now, I've got these green production buildings, and a green production building is going to instantly do whatever it shows here at the bottom of the card, plus any time in the future that those green production buildings are triggered. These blue governance buildings are going to cause some kind of special ability to happen based on other things that you're doing in the game. So they're basically boosting your actions into sort of more complicated, more interesting actions. So for example, at this market, if I had this built in my tableau, anytime I play a card, I could discard this to pay 3 fewer resources to build that card. Likewise, with this blue critter here, anytime I play a card, I could then instantly draw 1 more card from the deck. So basically, I'm refreshing my hand every time I use a card. The other 3 colors are the brown traveler cards, like this one right here. And this one says that I can discard a critter from my city to gain 1 treasure chest. I'll explain the treasure chest in just a second when we get to the boat piece of the game. But these brown things, as shown here on this card, are simply a single-use, one-time only. When you place that card, you take that effect, and then that card does nothing else for you, aside from scoring at the end of the game. And I'll mention that right now because this shell option, or shell icon, sorry, on the side of the card represents the amount of points that card will give you at the end. And I've chose this card to point out because this one is actually a negative point. So it's somewhat strong, but it's also going to hurt you at the end of the game. Next are the red destination cards. And the red destination cards are actually going to add another worker placement spot with some kind of action that's triggered from that spot when you go there. So for example, this one says I can discard any number of cards from my hand and then play a card for that many fewer resources. So it's a great way to build things for less resources. And then finally, the last type of card are the purple prosperity cards. And the purple prosperity cards are simply going to offer some kind of additional endgame bonus scoring. So for example, if I had this card in my tableau at the end of the game, I'd be scoring 2 points for every common critter that I also have in my tableau, or in this case, in my city, as it's called in this game. And again, my tableau can only ever have 15 cards in it. One special rule, however, in addition to spending resources to place a card, if I already have, say for example, this blue market in my tableau, if I have a construction of a specific color, on a future turn when I'm playing a card, rather than spending resources, I can play a critter of the same matching color by placing one of my anchor tokens on that construction. And I can only ever place 1 anchor on a single construction card, and I only have 3 anchors to place during the entire game. But this is a great way for me to save some resources when I'm playing some of the bigger mushroom valued characters by matching building colors. Also, when I do play a card from my hand by spending resources or by spending these anchors, I'm also going to take a look at these tokens up here at the top of the board. There's always going to be an A and a B. And if the card that I played into my tableau matches either or both of those, I'm going to move my boat around the edge of the map down here. So for right now, you can see that this A building says common, and this B token, you can see, is the green symbol, the production symbol. So that means if I put out a common card into my tableau, I would move my boat 1 space. If I put out a green card into my tableau, I move the boat 1 space. And if I put out a green common card into my tableau, I will move the boat 2 spaces. So that sort of focuses my plan in every given round, because these will change at the end of each round in preparation for the following round. So sort of the things that I'm focusing on should sort of adjust or adapt to what's showing up there. Now, for the AI, they're basically going to be doing the same thing as I am. For the first 3 seasons, they will begin first by flipping over this card to see what happens next. And I did say I was going to save a discard spot and realized I never did that. So let me slide some things down over here. But we're going to be flipping over the top card of this deck, and then it will tell me where to place out one of their workers. So on their first 2 turns in this season, they will be taking a worker placement action. After that, they will continue to place out cards from their hand for free into their tableau. And as they place out cards, you'll see I'll start adjusting this, and that will sort of dictate which cards they're going to select and interact with later on. But I'll explain that as I do that. But they will continue placing out cards so long as they still have cards, unless I pass at the end of my turn. When I decide that I don't want to take any more actions for the round, I pass. They will get 1 last turn to make sure they have the same number of turns that I have, and then they will pass as well. Sorry, that's not quite right. They actually don't take the extra turn after my turn. That extra turn after my turn is the pass action. And that pass action is what's called the prepare for season action. And that's going to be different for every season. In the first season, going from winter to spring, we will simply each get 1 extra worker back, clearing off all of our other workers from the board. I, as the player, will be activating any green cards that have already been played in my tableau. The AI will add more cards into their deck, and then I will refresh these as well. In addition, at the end of each round, when they are doing prepare for season, the AI will instantly claim any map tokens that they have qualified for. So if I want to get one of those, I need to make sure I do that before the end of a round that they will qualify for any specific map token. After the second season, we're going to do the same thing, getting 1 more meeple, getting all of our meeples back again, but this time I will be taking 2 cards from the bay, and the AI will be actually taking 6 cards from the bay, again scoring any map tokens that they earned. We'll cycle through these again, and after that second round, this island will go away, so it will not be able to be used for the last 2 rounds of the game. Then moving from summer to fall again, getting new meeples, refreshing our meeples. In this case, I will activate all of my green cards 1 final time, taking 2 cards from either the deck or the bay, and then cycling through those for the last time. And in the last round, Bonnie's actually going to do something special, and I will flip this over. And at that point, again, they qualify for map tokens, and they will draw 3 more cards from the bay. But in addition, in that final round of the game, instead of prioritizing workers and then placing cards, they will instead prioritize placing cards first, and then if they have no cards left, they will start placing worker placement. So they're going to rush their sort of card engine at the end of the game. And also in that final round, they will not pass until everything is gone, until all of their cards have been played and all of their meeples have been placed out on the board. So I know that's a lot to take in. There are still some small details, but those details will all come out in gameplay, and hopefully everything that might be confusing becomes less confusing as I get into gameplay. Before doing that though, let me go through all of the cards that I have out available to me right now. In my hand, you saw the 2 market cards that are blue require three of any resource, and that will allow me that when playing a card, I can discard the market to build something else or place something else for 3 fewer resources. The Lighthouse Keeper is a blue unique critter, and for 3 mushrooms I can play them, and they will allow me to draw an additional card after I play any cards. The Beach Sledge is a green card construction costing 2 seaweed, and that will simply let me get to wood. And then finally, the Scriptorium, which is a common construction green, costing 2 wood and 1 crystal, will allow me to draw up to 2 cards from the bay and up to 2 cards from the deck. So I can have up to 4 cards if I can hold them. Now those you had seen a little bit up close before, let me grab these cards off the board and I'll explain the rest of them. So we've got the Windmill, purple, 2 wood, 2 seaweed, and 2 crystal. We'll score 2 points for every green card in my tableau. The Grove is green, 2 wood, and a seaweed gives me 1 mushroom. The Manor, again purple, 2 points for each common critter in the city. Harbor, very, very resource heavy to build, but this is going to score 3 points for every one of these purple scoring cards in my city. The Lighthouse is a blue card, unique construction. When I move a boat with the Compass Rose tokens up there, I can choose to move 1 additional space by discarding a card. Here's a post office. I showed this to you before. Red building is a placement spot that allows me to discard cards to pay less resources when building. The Governor, 5 mushroom critter, 2 points for each common construction in the city. And the Castaway I showed you, the brown card that will allow me to discard a critter to gain a treasure at a cost of -1 points at the end of the game, but it is free to place that in my tableau. It's also worth mentioning, because I forgot to, the treasure chests are also a wild resource, as you can see here on the token. But at the end of the game, for any treasure chest that I haven't spent, I will also score 2 points for that treasure. And the main way we're going to be getting those treasure chests is you'll see at random spaces throughout this track along the edge of the board. When your boat reaches a track spot that has one, you will then take 1 treasure token. So that is it for gameplay for the most part. Let's go ahead and get into gameplay and you'll see how everything works as it goes. All right, so to start, I definitely want to do my best to prioritize the common and green cards. And I have 2 common green cards in my hand that would be not bad to build. There's also a very nice common green card here that's going to allow me to get a mushroom every time I get greens, which would be really nice to have. This idea of drawing cards up from the bay and from the deck is not super important until I start needing to look for specific cards to get my chains going. One more thing I should point out, I mentioned it briefly, but I didn't really talk about it. When I come here, I will be able to get one of these map tiles up here, and to do so I have to have that many of the specific kind of card in my tableau. So 4 greens, 3 blues, 3 browns, 3 reds, 2 purples, or 1 of each color in my tableau. And again, the AI will take those at the end of a round if they already qualify for them. Also, the first one is going to be worth 2 points for however many of these tokens I have at the end of the game. And the second one will then only be 1 point per tile at the end of the game. So I want to get them before they do, otherwise they're worth double points to them instead of to me. But if I focus on green stuff now, I can maybe claim that green stuff soon. This construction needs 2 wood and a seaweed. This construction needs 2 seaweed. And this needs 2 wood and a crystal. I don't know that I'm going for that. I could potentially build this, I could potentially, no, I don't have any green critters. If I played that and I got super lucky and a green critter came out, then I could potentially use an anchor to place 1 more green critter. But for right now, I'm gonna focus on needing wood. I can get seaweed here. I can always get one something here. And that one something could potentially be seaweed. However, I do need 2 wood there. And with 2 seaweed, I can play this card, which then gets me the 2 wood that I need to play that card. So that might be actually a better option. So let's aim for that. I'm going here to take 2 seaweed. And now we take the AI's first turn, turning over the top card. And they're simply going to prioritize the topmost icon for them that makes sense or that is possible to go to. So unfortunately, that means they are robbing me of that island space. And they're not going to do anything there, they just take it from me. So then I am, as planned, actually going to place out this card into my tableau, spending the 2 seaweed, and now instantly gaining 2 wood for that. And then this is a common construction, and green, common and green are the 2 of our Windrose tokens right now. So I'm actually going to move my boat forward 2 spaces, which will be worth 4 points at the end of the game, but also gets me my first wild treasure. Again, that is 2 points if I don't spend it. AI takes their second turn. Again, they're trying to go to the island, but they're already there, so they're going to go for the wood spot, which means they're going, not me, they are going right there. Now, the problem here is I wanted to build that for 2 wood and 1 seaweed, but unfortunately, because they took that island, I can't go there to get another seaweed. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go there to take a crystal and 1 card. And the card I get is another one of those lighthouse keepers. While having this card here, I should mention, I didn't before, anything that's marked as unique, you can only have 1 of that card in your tableau. Anything that's marked as common, you could have multiple copies of the same card in your tableau. That's my turn. Now, the AI is done with cards. The AI's cards, as they play them out, really aren't going to matter as far as the tableau goes, except for the red cards, because the red cards will ultimately be spaces that their meeples might get placed on as they play. So as they place cards, I'm going to just sort of organize them in 4 stacks based on color, or sorry, 5 stacks based on color, and then the red stack will sort of spill out if there's more than 1 of them, so that there's space for it on the sort of board, the table for them to place out meeples on. So they're going to simply turn over their first card, which is this green common critter, and they will place that automatically. And then when they place out a card of that color, they're going to adjust the marker of the board over here to that color. Because later on, when they start taking cards from the bay, they're going to take cards based on sort of what they need to best score these map tokens. And that's what this score, or this sort of tracker, is pushing towards. But again, because they placed out a green common, we're in trouble, because now green and common works for them, and they're going to move their boat. And the difference here in difficulty, for the most part, is how far their boat is going to move. So because we're playing on the bold difficulty level, they're actually going to be moving 2 spaces per thing that they triggered. So they're going to move ahead 4 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, picking up 2 treasure chests for themselves along the way. And the AI is never going to score these treasure chests. They'll simply be 2 points each for them at the end of the game. Then my turn. Again, I took that crystal for a reason, because I'm now going to play, instead of playing the one I was aiming for originally, I'm going to play that scriptorium card that I was looking at before, that does take 2 wood and 1 crystal. And is going to allow me to draw up to 2 cards from the bay and up to 2 cards from the deck. So I definitely want that grove. How many cards do I have? I have 4, so I can take all 4. I want that grove. I'm pushing on green, so I'm going to actually take the windmill, which is the card that scores on green. Those are my 2 from the bay, and I get to take 2 from the deck. I've got a red construction that is allowing me to place a worker there to play a card from my hand for 3 fewer resources. That's going to be huge moving forward. I'm very excited about that. And next we've got a blue customs office, which is going to say after I play a card, I can gain 1 card, no, sorry, give 1 card to an opponent to gain 1 point and draw 1 New card. That's pretty cool. Especially in the solo mode, because when I give a card to the AI, I simply discard it from the game and I still get whatever that reward was. So that's going to be extra powerful in the solo mode. And now again, this is common and this is green, so I will move 2 more times again as well. So we're both on that 8 space, and I also get 1 more treasure. Then filling in the bay down here, a red critter. That's a worker placement spot that gets me 2 treasures. That's pretty strong. And another green, a green critter, 3 mushrooms, that gets me a treasure. All right, well, I know what I'm doing on my next turn then. The AI will place out their next card, which is a green unique. So again, green gets adjusted up. Green triggers unique does not, so they're going to move twice, 1, 2, picking up 1 more treasure. Now, I am going to use an anchor. It may be early, it may be used a little bit wasteful, but I'm going to do that because they're rushing green and I want to make sure that I get there before they do. So I'm going to do that, meaning I can build a critter that matches that color, which is green, that is not, without paying the mushroom cost. So I am going to take that treasure hunter, play that here, which is instantly going to get me 1 treasure. Now the AI is out of cards, but that doesn't mean that their turn is over. They will instead play a card from the bay, but let me replace that first with a brown card. 2 mushrooms, 0 points, says draw 2 cards from the deck. You may play one of them for free, but it can't be a purple card. Now, the AI is going to play from the bay, and the way they're going to do that is they're going to look at this tracker and see which of them is closest to the top without being off of the board. In that case, it's the purple and the green, so they'll use the leftmost one. So they're looking to get purple cards. And then starting from the top left corner, working across and then down and across again, they will take the first card that matches. So they will take this manor card and add it into their... Nope, sorry, this is not adding. This is actually just playing straight out like this. And I did say I was going to stack cards. So those are greens there. This is purple here. Now they're playing this unique construction is purple, no common, no green. They don't move the boat. And we fill that in. Now, I could start spending some of these treasures to place something out, like for example, this grove. But, you know what? Hold on, I might do that. It's going to get me 1 additional mushroom, plus it's going to trigger again right now to get 1 more mushroom. It's worth a point. 2 mushrooms is nice to have. It gets me my 4th green card. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that actually. It means they're going to get 1 more something. Sorry, this should go up when they did that, which means they are going to go for another purple card, which is bad for me because they're going to score 6 points if I let them do that. Because they score 6 points per purple card at the end of the game. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to wait. It means I get cut out of 2. No, I think I have to. Unless I start the next round focused on that. But then I'm not going to get the 2 boats either. Yeah, I have to. All right, so I'm going to play that. Needs 2 woods and a seaweed. I don't have it, but I have 3 treasures, which hurts, but it's worth it. Means I gain a mushroom. That's a common and a green, so I move forward 2 more times there, picking up 1 more treasure. Yes, I now have 4 greens, so later on if I go to this worker placement spot, I can claim that. They won't take it now because they don't have 4 greens. But they are going to play again from the bay, taking this purple card, unfortunately, because now they do have 2 purple, which means they are going to also get a card, but we'll see if that bites me later on. That goes off, so they won't pick any more purple cards. This comes here. A new purple, 2 points for each map token that you have. Then I pass, preparing for the next season, which means I take all of my workers back again, like that. I reactivate all of my greens, which is all of them, which is awesome. So I get 2 wood. I can draw cards. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can only take 1 card, either from here or from there. And they're rushing me on boats. I think I'm going to take this lighthouse card. Although 1 wood and 3 crystals is tricky. Where's that worker placement spot? Oh yeah, that I already got. Discard any number of cards from your hand. I don't need that. You know what? I'm going to take this red creature because that'll play off my other red card, and gaining extra treasures could be incredibly powerful. So we'll do that like that. Then, because the AI doesn't take a turn after me anyway, we will refresh this. So A becomes now construction, and B is going to become brown. I refill that one there, which is brown, but I don't like these -1 throwaway cards. The nice thing about these throwaway cards, I should mention, is they don't take up a spot in my 15 cards. So that's an additional card, but it does mean it's going to push something else away that I can, I guess, then replace later. The AI now is following me, so they will also prepare for seasons, taking back their workers like that. Now they will score all qualifying maps, which unfortunately means they will take that purple map. And then they're going to draw 4 cards from the deck. 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. Which means they have a new hand of cards. I don't know where best to place these maps. I'll put that there. And we move into the next season of spring, starting again with me. They don't have enough green cards to take that, so I don't have to rush that, but I would like to do it soon before they start placing green cards out. Then 2 wood and a blue crystal. I can't hold any cards yet. I would like to play that though. But if I take a card now, I don't have any space for it. So I'd have to discard something. But you know what? I can't have 2 of these unique critters in my tableau anyway. Yeah, let's do that because I need that crystal. I'm going there. I'm going to discard one of these cards and take... Hold on, let me double check that I can do that. Unfortunately, no, I can't do that. You can't discard cards. You can only draw up to the number of cards that you need. So I think I'm going to prioritize working on something else first before building that. Means I do want that green building. No, I did that already. What can I place out that's cheap, that's worth placing out? Construction and brown. All right, so I'm going to do this actually. I'm going to place out this blue market. It's 3 of anything. It means I'm going to get rid of 2 wood. No, not yet. I need to get more wood first so I have it available to me. So I'm going there to get 3 wood. Then the AI is trying to get 3 wood, so I'm glad I did that. Instead, they're going to go blue crystal, which is sad for me, but not the end of the world yet. Now I'm going to spend a 2 wood and a mushroom to place out that blue market card, like that. And now I cross my finger, they don't go to the island, but I can always use a treasure chest if I need to. All right, they're trying to go to the blue crystal spot again. Instead now it says place on a red spot. They don't have any red cards yet, so they can't do that yet either. So instead, they're going to go to the lookout space, which is out here. And when they go to the lookout space, they're going to first try and find a purple card here that they can add to their hand. So the first one is this pilgrim. It will get added into their hand. And anytime Bonnie gets a new card, her deck gets shuffled up. And then this down arrow all red means any red cards that are here get discarded. So that red card's going to go away. And then +1 treasure for her. Then refilling the market, I've got a green diver. Common critter may pay up to 3 to gain 1 treasure each. And then a scavenger common critter just gain 1 resource of any kind. Also, I just realized when I placed this, unique and construction did trigger, so I should have moved forward 1 space there. Now it's my turn, and I need to go here. And I have 7 cards, so I get to take 1 resource, which will be the blue crystal. But now 2 cards means only 1 card. I can take from here or here. I'm now looking at blue as being something good, but brown is coming up. And that castaway is unique brown. I do also like the lighthouse. It's hard to build, but not really with some of the other stuff that I've got coming up. Yeah, I'm going to take the lighthouse. Replacing that here with a navigator, a blue critter, unique critter. When you move a boat at least 1 space, you may draw 1 card. If I can pair that with the lighthouse I just got, that's pretty awesome. All right, then Bonnie places again, going to the seaweed space like that. I'm going to build the Abbey. That's the red card that I can play a worker there to play a card from my hand for 3 fewer resources. And to do that, I need 2 wood and 1 blue crystal. That is a common construction. Constructions are moving me. I move forward 1. Like that. Yes. Bonnie's turn. They're out of workers, so they will play a card. Is a green. That's their 3rd green. Green moves up again 1. Unique construction is there. They're moving forward 2 because of the difficulty level. So they're with me on that space there. My turn. Using the Abbey with my last worker, I'm going to then play the lighthouse, which is a 2nd blue. Hold on a minute. Maybe not. Because they've got 3 green, and if they place out a green next, I'm in trouble. I need to claim that green map before they do. All right, they play their next card is a green. I'm very glad I did that. That slides up. Common critter, green doesn't move anything. That's their turn, but they will end up taking the green map at the end of this round. My turn. Now I don't have a worker to do what I was hoping to do, but I will play an anchor. Hold on, what do I have left? I've got a wood left. You know what? I really don't want to do it, but the castaway is free and it's going to be worth it for me to move around on the board. So I am going to play that castaway. Hold on. That's going to move me up 1 space on the board is 2 points. I'm sorry, that's an extra, so he can go over here. And that lets me discard a critter to gain a treasure. No, I don't think so. Yeah, but I need a brown card anyway. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to pass. Because I don't want them to do anything else either. I'm passing, preparing for the next season, which means I take my workers back again, like that. Then I get 2 cards from the bay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only get 1 card, and I want that navigator because it ties in real nice with that lighthouse as a combo. Then I need to go to the next windrose spots. A becomes critter, and B becomes blue, which is great because I'm planning on some blue stuff anyway. And now the island goes bye-bye. Bonnie does the same thing, claiming all of her workers, like that. And then she's going to, hold on, let me refill the card I just took away, which is a brown galley. Unique construction, move the boat 3 spaces. That's cool. She's going to take 6 cards, again, following the same way she did before, except she's not playing them, she's putting them in her deck. So, starting with blue, Going through here, there's no blue. Then brown, she'll take this one, 1, this one, 2, means up 1, up 2. One more brown is 3. Brown is now not priority. Looking for red. There is one red, like that. 4. Now, everything that's left has no priority here, so she'll just take brown one more. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a green, because that's all that's left, is 6, and those get shuffled into her deck like that. And at the same time, checking for qualifying map tokens. She does have 4 greens, so they will take that as well. And that is the end of the spring season. We now move into summer. But first, refilling all of these. A purple unique critter, 1 point for every blue, red, and brown in your city. A blue unique critter that lets you replace one resource with a different resource when playing a card. A green card common critter that activates one other green card in your city. A red post office common construction, discard any number of cards from your hand and then play a card for that many fewer resources. The inn common construction, play a card from the bay for 3 fewer resources. That's basically the same as my abbey, only from the bay instead of from your hand. And then finally the galley, the brown unique construction, move 3 spaces of the boat. All right, so I need to figure out how to get some cards played. I definitely want to play these 2, but I can play that with an anchor from that one. This market is useless because I can't have 2 markets. I'd really love a brown critter, because that's the only way I'll move my boat with a brown this turn, but I don't see any critters that are brown. I'd love to have a brown, though, so I can work on getting the one of everything colors. But blue, I'm at 2. Well, I will be at 3, actually. Red, I'm at 1. Yeah. So if I can find a way to get another blue card played this round, we'll see what happens. I don't know yet, but we'll see what happens. I want to start by playing some stuff. I don't know that I'm getting any resources with workers this turn. Maybe mushrooms. Hold on. That's free, that's free. May draw 1 card after you play 1 card. Yeah, you know what? Let's push. 1 there, and 1 there works for me. Okay, so I'm going to start by getting mushrooms. And Bonnie is going to start by getting some seaweed. Then, I'm going to use those 2 mushrooms and 1 treasure to play a lighthouse keeper, which will allow me to draw a card after you play a card. And that is blue and a critter, so I move twice. Hold on a minute. No. I'm going to undo that for a minute because other fun things are going to happen first. So let me take those back. And instead of that, I'm playing on here to play a card from my hand with 3 fewer resources, playing the lighthouse, not paying the 3 crystals and only paying 1 wood. And that is blue unique construction. So blue just moves 1 and gets me a treasure chest like that. Bonnie is trying to go to mushrooms. They can't. Trying to play red. They don't have any. Going to the docks and moving once. So again, they're sharing this spot with me, and they get 1 treasure. Then from that lighthouse, I'm going to play an anchor on there so that I can build the navigator, which is another blue card that says when you move a boat at least 1 space, you may draw 1 card. So I'm going to then trigger now blue and critter moving 2 spaces. 1, 2, which does trigger that. So I may draw 1 card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's 7. And then again, when you move at least one space, I can discard a card to move an additional space. I don't need my second Lighthouse Keeper, so I will do that to move one more and take one more treasure like that. Good. Then Bonnie goes. Mushrooms are blocked. Seaweed is blocked. They're going again to the docks and moving twice. 1, 2 to 22. Now, I am going to spend 2 mushrooms, whoops, and 1 treasure to play this Lighthouse Keeper, which is another blue critter. And says I can draw a card after I play a card. Then because I played that, now I have 4 blue cards. Plus, blue critter means I move 2 more times with my boat, which means I get to draw a card from the navigator, a merchant, which lets me pay a resource to get 2 of any resource. That's cool. Then I can spend a card to move 1 more space. I don't need 2 markets either. That's a unique construction. So spend that, I get to move 1 more, and I take a treasure. Like that. Bonnie goes again, placing on wood. I want something. Mushrooms are full up. I need to find a way. I can do that and that. All right, anyway, I'm going to play. I only needed 3 blue. I don't know why I placed out the 4th, but why not? I'm going to go there and claim the blue map. Bonnie's out of meeples, so they are going to play this purple card, a 3rd purple card. Unique critter. That's a critter. They're going to move twice. 1, 2, getting 1 treasure. Then my turn. I don't know whether I want to. Yeah, I don't want to. I was thinking I could place out this with my anchor, but that's only 3 mushrooms. And I could instead, but if I did that, no, that's still only a 2nd red, and I need 3 red for that, and she has no red, so not yet. I'd rather save my anchor to place out, say, a purple, and then another purple like that, because that's more expensive. So I think I'm going to pass. No, because I still have 1 worker. I shouldn't waste it. Discard 3 cards to gain for each card. Discard to good draw. I don't want to do that either. No, you know what? I do. I'm going to use the anchor. Because that'll give me another red card, which is good to have. That is a critter, which does move me 1 more up on there, which does get me 1 more card, which then does let me discard something. Ooh, that's a brown critter. That's real nice. I'm going to discard this green merchant. Am I? No, I'm going to discard the customs office because I won't play a blue construction again. That lets me move 1 more up like that. And also I played a card so I can draw a card from there as well. Yes, that's that. Then Bonnie goes again, placing out another card, a brown card this time. Brown is off. Unique critter, brown critter goes up 2 more spaces, taking a chest. I will place on the Cooper to get 2 treasures. 1, 2. Bonnie places another brown common critter. Critter means they do also move up twice. So they're sharing 34 with me right now. And I will pass now. So I get all of my meeples back, plus the additional 1. Then I get to trigger all of my green cards, means 2 wood. I can draw up to 2 cards from the bay or the deck. Blue and red is actually nice. I'm going to take that card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gets me 1 more card from somewhere. I need 1 more red. And I think that in might be the right option. Yeah. You know what? Hold on a minute. No, because she's going to take cards and I don't want her to take purple. Although she's going to focus on blue and red. No. All right, so I'm going to take that in. I'll slide things over as we work. Then I also, no, that's it. Replacing that with a scribe. May discard up to 3 cards to gain 1 point and draw a card for each discarded card. And a pirate that gets 3 treasures. And then that's it. These get flipped. For the last round, we're working on A is unique. And B is red, which is cool because no, it's not. I just put out my red, but I will place out at least one more red on my next turn. Bonnie does the same thing, taking all of hers back again, like that. Only now we're going to change things up a bit. She is going to score all qualifying maps. 4 greens she's already got. 2 purple she's already got. 2 browns doesn't do any good, and there's nothing else there. However, from this point on, anytime she gets a card that completes a map, she instantly takes it without waiting for the end of the round. So I need to rush things, or she will first. And then she's going to take 3 cards from the market, adjusting markers, starting with blue, 1. Should be blue again, but there aren't any. She'll take this red, adjusting up. And then brown is the next one. Normally they wouldn't consider it, but there are no more blue and red. So they'll take this brown here, shuffling those together. And actually, it looks like I'm wrong, and I shouldn't have done that in the previous round, so I did make one small mistake. I'll leave a message or a subtitle at that point. But if none of these match the colors they want, which is blue and red right now, they will simply take the top card from the deck instead. So they're all set. This flips over another Abbey, a Sailmaker, moving 1 space of your boat every time green is triggered, and we move into the final round of the game. Only it's worth mentioning here that Bonnie is working backwards. Bonnie is going to first work through this whole stack of cards and then prioritize their meeple placement. But when they're doing the meeple placement for this round, they're going to be aiming for whatever the bottom thing on this deck is, which is going to mean the boat moves a whole lot or similar things. So I really got to push to move my boat as much as possible, and I got to push to get as much stuff in my tableau as possible before the end of this game. And looking at what I've got, I need 1 more red. I need both of my purples. Or 2 purples, I don't know about both of. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that I don't have a mushroom means I know I forgot to trigger this. I think I stopped after this, so I should get 1 more treasure chest. And if not, I apologize, but I'll make a note of it in the subtitles. So prioritizing again, a red, 2 purples, and a brown will get me the 3 reds, the 2 purples, and the mix. I don't think I'm getting more than that, but we'll see what happens. Since I've already used my anchors, I'm a little bit worried. But I get 1 from my hand with 3 fewer resources. I get 1 from the bay with, not from here, but here, 1 from the bay with 3 fewer resources. So I might not be as hard off as it seems. All right, so I need to get that 3rd red out, and then 1 purple, 1 brown, 2 purple, 1 brown. So I need 3 places for the dunes. And I need 2 for that, so that's perfect. Okay, then I'm going to get out a red one quick, which means 2 wood and a green. We're looking for uniques and reds. Fortunately, that's a red common that I'm looking to place, but that's okay. All right, let me get my hand of cards out of the way. It doesn't really matter what order I do things in. So I'm going to place 1 here to play a card from my hand for 3 fewer resources, which is this inn. I'm never going to end up using it, but it is red, so I get to move forward. Hold on. I get to move forward 1, which gets me a treasure. And then, because I played a card and I moved the boat, I draw 2 cards. But how many cards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I do get 2 cards is 8. And then I get to throw something away to move 1 more space, which I absolutely will do. I don't need another red critter. Hold on. Red and unique might be worth having just to move my boat. Brown and unique. Here we go. I don't need a green common critter for sure. So I move forward 1 more space like that. AI plays their next card is another purple. Ouch. Unique construction. That is unique. That means they move twice, 36, and they're on the space with me. I believe I may have miscounted, but that looks right. They get that. And that's another 6 points for them. Ouch. Okay, then I now have 3 reds. They're not close to it, but just so I can get there. No, hold on. I want to rush to 1 of every color because they're getting closer, and I might have to race them for it. So I've got red, blue, and brown. I need a purple. There's no purple out here. So I want to... I need a brown too. I'm going to do that right away. I'm going to use this, no, not this to gain 2. This one, play a card from the bay for 3 fewer resources. Playing this galley, it takes 3 wood and 2 seaweed, so 2 seaweed and 1 wood I don't spend. Instead I spend 2 wood playing that galley. That says when I play it, I move my boat 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, picking up a treasure. Then, it is unique, so I move 1 more. I played a card, so I get a card, but I played it from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I should be able to draw 2, but I only have space for 1 more card, which is a green critter. I don't need that. That's my extra movement from the lighthouse. Like that. AI plays their next card, another purple. I'm in trouble. That's a unique critter. Again, unique means they move twice to there for a treasure. Ouch. All right, then I need a purple quickly. And I want to prioritize the purple card that I have that lets me, lets me 1 point for each of non-green cards or not purple cards. So that would be right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. Yes. It stinks because it's expensive, but I'd rather have that here because that gives me, hold on a minute though. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The windmill, but the windmill costs 2 because that would also be 8, and that's more resources, and it's the same number of points. The other option is I start playing, no, because I need to play 1 of them. Yeah, it's going to have to be that. So I'm going to play that purple. Unique critter. I can spend 1 real mushroom and 3 treasure chests, which is points that I'm wasting. But that lets me place that. It is unique, so I move up 1 more and get 1 of those chests back again. And again, I think that's now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards. So I can draw 2 more cards, another red location, and a super expensive purple critter that I will not be placing. So that can go away to move up 1 more. They play out their next is another purple, another unique. They move up twice. This is horrible. And I think 1 of those they shouldn't have because that was my mistake in the second round, but that's a lot of random purple. That deck is killing me and I'm going to lose because of that. But anyway, you get to see how the game plays out. Then my turn again. I've now got 1 purple, 1 brown, 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 green, so I do have 1 of everything. I need 1 more brown if I want to get the 3 browns. Hold on, that's 3 reds, 2 purples, and 1 of everything. So if I can either place out a purple or a brown. which is cheaper for me. Ooh, I like that anyway, because that's basically free. This pirate, I spend 3 resources to get 3 resources. It's unique brown, so I'll also move up. It doesn't score me anything, but it doesn't cost me anything. If I play anything else, I'm going to have to spend a ton of resources. Yeah, we're going to do that. So I'm basically spending 3 treasure chests, gaining 3 treasure chests. But that is a brown unique. Unique means I move up 1. I draw some cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I take 2 cards. 1, 2, like that. And I get to trade 1 in, which doesn't really matter right now, but I will trade in this Lighthouse Keeper. I can't use it anyway to move up that extra space, like that. AI goes a blue card. Unique critter, blue unique means they move up twice and get a treasure. Blue is their first, but they still don't have a red card, so they can't score that. Then I am going to get the one of each map. They play another card, a green. Common construction, that does nothing for them, yay. Except scoring at the end of the game, but that's fine. I'm going to place here and take my 3 browns. Is that right? 1, 2, no, that's not right. I only have 2. This should replace, that's the problem. Because if that's true, I'm going to not place that there. Hold on. I could place this stowaway brown. 3 mushrooms, move one of your workers to a new location, even if occupied, and activate it. Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that, but I'm redoing that in reverse. So I played that last round. That's cheating though. Because I could have done that. Oh, that's fine. Okay, that's fine then. I'm going to go here first to gain 2 more treasure chests. Yeah, that's fine. All right, then I didn't go there yet. They are going to get another blue unique critter. Unique moves them up twice. And now they have 2 blues. Now I'm playing this brown card, 3 mushrooms, 1, 2, 3, to move this worker over here and take that brown that I already took that I shouldn't have. That would have gone back, but it's mine now. Yes, okay, good. Then they take their turn placing out, oh, there's the red. It is a common, but it's a red, means they're moving up 2 spaces past me to here to get a treasure. And now they have red, blue, green, purple, and brown. So they're going to take the one of everything token. I'm going to place there and take the 3 reds, because I have red, red, and red. And that's it for me. So we're just going to play out their hand. There's a brown. Unique construction. Unique means they move twice again. And because they now have 3 browns, they take this one. There's no way I'm winning this. Then next card, brown again, and unique. So moving up twice and getting a treasure. But that's it. Means they don't get the 3 blues. They don't get the 3 reds and 2 purples there because that's mine, and I didn't get it because I have 15 cards and that's all I can play. Now they play out these. So they're going to go to the docks and move twice. 1, 2. And then they're going to go to the docks and move twice. 1, 2, and get a treasure. I've never seen them go this far on the boats before, so I'm starting to wonder if I did something wrong. But I think they just matched really well this time. All right, now they're going to go to the lookout. And now normally they would draw a purple into their hand, but now instead of into their hand, they'll place it instantly. But lucky for me, there are no purples on the board. So that's great. But they will get rid of all of the greens and take one treasure. So we refill all of those cards, mostly just because a purple could come out that they might get in a later card. There's a purple. Like that. Next card, yep, there it is. They go to the lookout, they take that purple and play it instantly. It is a unique, so they're moving 2 more up. All the greens go away again. 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. And another treasure. I'm in trouble. And then to the docks for their final, all the way to the end. Good stuff. All right, so then that is the end of the game. We need to do the final scoring. So for me, the final scoring is going to start with all of the points on my cards printed in the shells. So we've got 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus 2, 3, 2, 1 means 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. My boat is at 48. Then I score any purple cards, and unfortunately I only have the one getting 1 point for everything that's not green or purple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Plus treasures, I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 from that. And then I've got 5 map tokens. And each of them scores 2 per map token. So each of them is scoring 2 times 5 is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 points additional for a final score for me of 140 points. Then for the AI, let's start with their boat is 60 right away. Ouch. Their maps, they've got 4 maps. 3 of them are 1 for each and 1 is 2. So that's 8 plus 4, 4 and 4 is 12 and 8 is 20. Plus all of these treasure tokens that they've got, which looks like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30. And then they score their cards. And the way that works is that every red, blue, green, and brown is worth 2 points, and every purple is worth 6. I'm in trouble here because they got a lot of purple, but let's see what happens here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 2 is 24. Plus, this is where I die. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times 6, that's an additional 42 points, which puts them in a final score of 176. I'm very curious to watch this back over again as I edit to see if I did anything wrong with this boat, because I've never seen them get all the way up to 60, but they were matching these quite a bit this game. Lots of purple, way more purple than I've ever seen them get. Now, there should be one less probably, but even still they'd have 170, because I think I took an extra one from there accidentally, but ouch, they surely did crush me in this game. So now that we're all done, I do generally like to take a look at all of the components while I'm down here. This game has a wealth of components. Before I look at anything on the table, I do want to show you one more time this really cool lighthouse. Again, it's really not all that meaningful as far as gameplay goes, but instead of putting out the guys on the table here, you can sort of stack the first season on the ground, the second season up here on the edge, and the third season up here at the top of the lighthouse. It kind of fits just barely. Again, it is more fiddly than it really does much good, but it is pretty darn cool. And it's not quite as atrociously large as the Evertree in the original Everdell. The meeples for the player pieces, there are 4 different types here. You saw I was playing with these sort of squirrels and the lobster kind of crustacean looking guys. The other two are these yellow ducks, I guess, and these white birds. It is kind of I don't want to say annoying, but that they do have two different kind of birds, and the colors are also pretty similar. It would have been nice to see a slightly different color and a slightly different shape, but these are very nice, chunky wooden bits. They are a little bit lighter than a lot of wooden components I'm used to, but they are very nice. The resources, this is where they went all out. You've got these sort of plastic shells. I'll get them closer in just a minute. These little pieces of driftwood, these little seaweeds, these little gems. I'm going to talk a little bit more about all of these, but I just want to show them to you up close. These seaweed are this like soft, squishy rubber. The mushrooms are sort of that same rubber, but they're a little bit heavier duty, so they're not quite as squishy, but they are very soft and squishy. The driftwood is made out of wood. The shells are nice, clinky plastic that kind of sounds shell-like when they click together. And the gems I've seen gems that look like this in other games, but I've never seen them this sort of frosted matte look. They're usually super clear and sparkly. I do really like the way that they look with this sort of, I don't know, frosted kind of look to them. Very, very, very awesome resource components. Did they need to be that way? No, not really, but I am very happy that they are, because that's really, really cool to me. Then, what else is out here? All of the chipboard in this game means these treasure tokens, these map tokens, all very nice, thick chipboard, really nice components. The cards themselves have a nice finish to them, very thick, very easy to shuffle, nice to play with. If anything, that's a huge deck with all of these cards. We still have that much left. They're really hard to shuffle with that many cards, but it does really mean that there's more variability in the game, and I'll talk more about that in my final thoughts. But otherwise, the game looks great. It takes up a whole lot of space on the table, which you can see I did have to zoom out quite a bit more than I normally would in order to get this game on camera. But I hope that you were able to see most of what was going on from this distance, and that my explanation for everything did help quite a bit. The other thing I do like to take a look at when I am down here for components is also the insert for the game. This game comes with a pretty nice insert. I did put the punch boards underneath just to keep the little bit better flush on top of here. Now, they are kind of shaped like things, though I thought maybe specific things would go in specific places, and they kind of do, but you kind of have to put things where they fit. Over here I put all of the regular cards. Here is where I put the AI cards, and also where I didn't show you this because I didn't play with it, but on a slightly next level difficulty level for the AI, or the one after that, they also use these weather cards that cause sort of negative effects to happen every round as well. So like when you move your boat, don't get treasure, or you have to pay an extra resource or card before you place green or blue cards. And this just makes the game that much more brutal. The AI is still somewhat difficult already at sort of this second level. So I've never felt the need to put them in there, but they are in the box as well. So all of that AI card stuff goes in here. The little AI chips I just throw in like that. This is where all of the maps fit. And actually I've got it set up nicely that this stack is the stack that I don't use in the solo mode. And I can take all of the rest of these maps and place them in sideways like that. So I can keep them sorted by which I need and which I don't need in the solo game, which is nice and helpful. All of the resources in baggies go in here. Over here I put the anchors and the shells and the treasure chests in baggies. The boats, as you can see, there are already two in there, but the boats fit very nicely in there like that. I've got two sets of meeples over here and two sets of meeples over there. And then on top of all of that, I don't want to take everything apart and make you wait on camera for me to show it all to you. But for right now, I can show you first off that this lighthouse will need to come apart to get into the box. But this fits very nicely in this sort of recessed area for it. And then this big one, I'm not going to play if I can't get it to fit, because it does have to fit in a very specific way. There we go. And the circle one fits right in there. And the board does fold up perfectly. You can see here There's this little edge here and this little curved edge here. That's for the board fits in perfectly like that. So with the board and the manual and the lid on top correctly, everything is held in there pretty well. So it's not the most perfectly designed as far as the shapes and how things fit in there, but it does hold all of the components very, very well. With all that said, meet me back up top and I'll let you know what I think about the game itself. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. This one is an interesting one for me because Everdell is a game that I've only ever played on TTS and only once or twice a pretty long time ago, sort of in the height of the pandemic. While I was at home, I was trying out all kinds of games on TTS and I'd heard lots of really great things about Everdell, so I decided to try the solo mode of Everdell. Unfortunately, after only a play or two, I just didn't connect with it, and the biggest thing for me was that the solo mode of Everdell in the base game didn't really feel all that interactive with me, but more importantly, Everdell had this really cool sort of system of cards comboing with other specific cards or being able to be played because they matched specific cards that were in the deck. And in the solo game, the cards just didn't come out enough in the game. So a lot of those cards that sort of required one specific card just kind of were useless because I could never get those specific cards except sort of randomly as a card draw from the deck. And if I'm misrepresenting the original game at all, again, I've only played it once or twice, so I can't really make a huge comparison of this game to the original. But I just wanted to say that because I didn't really enjoy the solo mode or the game really of the original Everdell. And now this one I know now has a new solo mode, changes things up, adds some new mechanisms, and I was really excited and really interested to see how this plays because ultimately, at the core, the mechanisms of Everdell, the sort of hand management, the worker placement, and this sort of idea of tableau building as you're building creatures or placing out creatures and building these constructions into your tableau are all mechanisms that I enjoy quite a bit in other games. So this is one that sort of should work for me. So I was very excited to see sort of how the new things changed up the game and more importantly, how the new solo mode in this game plays. And I'm going to say to you that this is a mixed bag again for me. First off, I definitely enjoy this quite a bit more than the original Everdell, both game and solo. So I will talk a bit about that. But ultimately, I also do have to say that this one still doesn't excite me too much, and I'll get into that as well. So let's talk about the good first. So again, this game is based on sort of a hand management and sort of tableau building and a little bit of worker placement thrown in there as well. I want to talk about the worker placement. I said I was going to talk about things that work for me. I want to talk about the worker placement first because it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and ultimately I enjoy worker placement a lot. I play lots of worker placement games, and in this case, the worker placement is kind of just a small piece of the game. That's why I want to start with that first. Because basically you have a very limited number of workers, and it's your job to use those workers to gather resources so that you can sort of make use of the cards in your hands and ultimately be able to put cards out in your tableau because you will be needing to pay resources to put them out. So ultimately, the worker placement in this game is all about getting those resources. Now there are spaces where you can sort of swap cards to get cards and other sort of small things. There's that island as well, which I'll talk about in just a second. But ultimately, the worker placement here is sort of the way that you manipulate what you need to actually play the rest of the game. And for me, it works as worker placement because you can block people from getting specific things that they might need by taking spaces that also get you the things that you might need. And this is important and interesting for this gameplay because if I don't have the sort of resources that I need, I can't do the things that I want to do. But ultimately, doing the things that I want to do is what I want to do. So I need to figure out this sort of timing idea of, do I go to the worker placement spaces early to get those resources to make sure somebody else doesn't take those resources? Or do I try and get my cards played as quickly as possible so that I can start working towards those map tokens that are bonus scoring based on completing sets of cards and getting buildings out there that allow me to use other sort of worker placement spots, because there's another important piece of the worker placement that I'll talk about in just a second. But there's this interesting timing of, do I place my workers first? Do I place my cards out? How many resources do I actually need from the worker placement spots? How important are those specific resources? And can I hold off on placing my worker, or should I do it earlier? And this is an interesting sort of balance, time management kind of issue in the game. And now, like I said, some of the buildings that you're building are adding new worker spots. And this is where it gets really interesting with the worker placement. Because as I build those red buildings, I have new spots that I can place and only I can place in my own tableau. And these spaces are where the worker placement really gets interesting, because you saw in my playthrough I had a couple of spaces where if I place a worker there, I can build buildings for 3 fewer resources. And 3 fewer resources is really huge. If I have that building, maybe I don't ever have to go to those resource gathering spaces with my workers, because I don't really need those resources, and I can get some resources from those green cards that are coming out. So ultimately, again, the worker placement mechanism is a sort of piece that sort of adds additionally to the core mechanism, which is this sort of hand management tableau building piece. So let me talk about that, because that's where the meat of this game is, and this is where the Everdell Farshore sort of stands above regular Everdell 4 meat. Because first off, there are all these different kinds of buildings. You've got the green buildings that give you something as soon as you place, and then will give you something again at the end of the first and third season, which is cool because this is another way to gather those resources without needing to use those worker placement spots, which is great because, as I mentioned, you might want to save those workers for the red buildings, but also you're going to need those workers to score the set collection. And I'll get to that in just a second. Because then you've got the brown cards that give you a one-use something right away. You've got the blue cards, which I really love because the blue cards sort of augment abilities of the other things that you're doing in the game. So every action that you take could potentially be a stronger or more interesting action based on the blue cards that you've placed down. You've got the red cards that again offer that extra worker placement spot, which is super important if you've got one really powerful ability, which I did have several in this playthrough. You've got the purple cards, which are cool because the purple cards are giving you new endgame scoring, and it sort of focuses your strategy and sort of pushes you in different paths as those purple cards come out and you play them into your tableau. So there's all this different variation in the different kinds of colors, right? Red, blue, green, purple, and brown. That's all of them, yes. So as you play through, the different kinds of cards push you in different ways. Do I want something that happens right now with the brown card? Do I want something that's maybe a little bit less strong but happens once now and happens a couple times later with the green cards? Do I want something that augments my actions to make them more powerful with the blue cards? Do I want new worker placement spots with the red cards? And yes, I definitely want ultimately new endgame scoring conditions with those purple cards. But at the same time, you also have to think about those map tokens, that you are scoring based on sets of multiple cards of the same color or one of each color. And this is going to be really important because those score in a very interesting way, meaning that each of those tokens you have scores based on the number of tokens you have. So you want to get them early so that you get the 2 points per instead of 1 point per. But also you want to get as many of them as possible so that each one scores more because you've got so many of them. So you can't really focus your strategy only on the type of cards that you want to sort of help your own sort of tableau engine or your action sort of future ability engine. You also have to focus on maximizing this sort of set collection aspect in the game. So it really does make interesting decisions about, do I like that sort of thing that that card is giving me, but also is it okay for me not to focus on another color in order to focus on scoring those map tokens? Because then also those purple endgame scoring cards, some of them are going to score based on specific types of cards. So if you have a purple card that's scoring on as many green things in your tableau as possible, well then you're going to want to focus on as many green things as possible in your tableau. But remember, there's another interesting twist in that your tableau can only ever have 15 cards in it. So if I fill up with lots of green, then I'm not getting a lot of those map tokens, and that's going to hurt me in a different way. So there's this definite balance of where are the points coming from? How am I scoring? When do I do things? How do I time things? And then Everdell Farshore throws in another mechanism, which is now this boat track around the outside of the board, which is really, really cool as well. Because now in every round you've got an A and a B stack. And those A and B stacks are basically rewarding you for specific types of cards that you play each round. So now, not only do I have the purple card endgame scoring bonus that's driving my thinking, not only do I have those map tokens that are forcing me to get specific sets for endgame scoring, I now have this A and B tile or token out on the board that's pushing me to play specific types of cards in specific rounds. And now I really have to think about this timing issue. When do I play things? How do I play things? Can I get away with playing lots of this color now so I can maximize those boat track points? Because every time I play one of those cards that matches either or both of those tokens, the boat moves around. And the boat's going to give me more points. But more importantly, not only is the boat going to give me more points, the boat also gives me those treasure chests, which could be even more points, or gives me a wild resource. So now I have to focus even less on placing my workers out on those resource spots. So now those resource spots for the worker placement seems to be more of a sort of fallback. If I can't get resources from a green card, if I can't get resources from my boat movement, if I can't get resources from other unique play of cards into my tableau, well then maybe I should place a worker out on that spot. But again, there's still the timing issue because if somebody else is already there and I do really need that resource, I can't play there anymore because somebody else beat me to it. So there's this really cool interplay of timing of the worker placement, the timing of when to play cards to score on the boat track, when to play cards to get those set collection points before somebody else does, when to play cards that sort of interplay with each other. And now I did say I like the tableau building in this more than I like the tableau building in the original game, and that's because the other thing that this game does is it got rid of all of the specific named cards, or at least as far as the chains go from the specific named cards. It used to be that if I had a specific sort of building construction, if I had that build, I could place out a specific critter connected to that construction for free. But the problem was if you never found that card, you couldn't do that. Well, this game now introduces these anchors, and these anchors are really cool because placing out critters usually takes mushrooms, but you start with 3 anchors. Well, not start with, you have 3 anchors for the entire game. And if I can build a construction that's matching color with that creature, I can play an anchor instead of playing the mushrooms to place out that creature. And this is where it gets even more interesting because now I don't have to dig through the deck for a specific card. I only have to match colors. So that makes it a lot easier to build these chains, but it also means I can only do it 3 times in the game, which is also really interesting because some of the critters are really cheap. Some of the critters are really expensive as far as the number of mushrooms you need to play out. So if I'm smart, I should probably use the anchors to place out those sort of 5 mushroom critters, the really hard ones to get enough resources to place out. But they may not come out in the game. I might not want to wait that long because remember I'm racing for those map tokens. And if I wait too long, somebody's going to beat me there. So sometimes I just have to sacrifice that anchor to place out that critter so that I can get there first to get one of those map sets to score those points before somebody else does. So there's this huge timing element in this game and all of the different mechanisms and how it interacts. When do I do things? How do I do things? What order do I do things in? Racing, but ultimately trying to score points in a variety of different ways because points come from things that you put into your tableau. Points come from specific cards that generate in-game points. I didn't see any in this playthrough, but there are those shell chips or those shell pieces that you get for certain buildings that will score you points as you're playing the game. You've got those purple buildings that score endgame points. You've got the maps that score endgame points. You've got the boats that score points. So there's so many different ways to score points in here, but you can't really focus on any one at the sort of forgetting about the other things because it's never going to work out. You've got to sort of figure out the best way to balance all of these sort of intertwined systems in the game. And it feels really good when you manage to do that. And it sounds like it's a lot going on, but really it's not. It all connects together really easy, and it really does work together as the sort of engine that's driving through the game. So I really love all of the mechanisms in this game. The solo mode. The solo mode is definitely an improvement over the last solo mode because a couple things. Number one, this solo mode has that sort of color tracker that you're doing so that every time he's placing a card or later on drawing a card into his deck from the sort of bay area, those colors are adjusting so that it means that the AI is focused specifically on certain colors so that the AI is smartly racing towards those map tokens just like you are. So the timing of things really does matter. And you do really have to pay attention to what the AI is doing and how the AI is doing it so that you can beat it to those map tokens and you can play smartly as you're working forward. It's not just randomly he takes this and he takes that and he takes this. He's aiming for specific colors as they play through. And I keep saying he, but it's actually a she, sorry. Bonnie, the AI, is working towards specific things based on that tracker. Yes, the worker placement pieces or spaces are sort of randomly determined by that card draw, but ultimately that's still interesting because you don't know where they're going to place and when they're going to block a worker placement spot that you might really need. So you really have to think about, do I go there now just in case they block it? Am I really that desperate for that thing? Can I decide to wait and do something else if they take the spot that I want? So there is some thought there. You also have to think about following those colors, and I didn't do this very well in my playthrough, but I know that the AI is looking for specific colors in the bay, and if I leave them there, they're going to take them. Specifically those purple cards, and you saw in my playthrough, I got punished this time because they scored so many points off of those purple cards at the end of the game. And if I had done a better job, I probably could have bought some out of the market or at least cycled them through the market so that they weren't able to get to them. So there's definitely some more sort of trackable interaction with the AI. You can predict based on what they probably will be doing, based on the colors that they need and how they're placing out. Now, ultimately, the buildings that they place out are going to be random-ish, based on the original cards that they start with and which cards are available in the bay when it's time for them to pull cards out of the bay. Also, when you flip over that card for worker placement, sometimes they're going to be going to that dock space because you've blocked them and they're flying around the boat. This time they made it all the way to the end, and again, if I made a mistake, you will see that in the subtitles. I don't think I did. They made it all the way to the end of the track. Also, some of those worker placement spots, when they place out, gets them more purple cards in their deck. So even if they don't need the cards for the set collection, they're going to score 6 points per purple card at the end of the game. So there's a lot of sort of predictability, but there's also quite a bit of randomness, which is nice because I do like that sort of input randomness, tactical decision making in my solo modes. So I don't mind that at all. But there is quite a bit of randomness. And in this case, I don't want to say it ruins the solo mode because it's not. The solo mode works. It's well done. It's definitely better than what was there before. But again, I got crushed this time because they made it all the way to the end of the boat track and they got a bunch of purple cards. And that was big, big points. Now, the biggest thing is that boat track thing, because the cards in their hand are randomized. The way that they take them, aside from being smart about colors taking, is somewhat randomized based on what's available in the bay at the time and so on. So the biggest sort of random thing here is when you turn over one of their buildings to build in their tableau, again, they don't have to pay for anything, they don't have to do anything, they just build the building automatically, which is fine, except that if it happens that the random order of their cards coming out matches the A and B token, the compass rose tokens on the board, they're going to be zooming around that boat track because they just happen to randomly be matching. Meanwhile, I have to be able to pay for the cards and make sure that my specific cards match the specific conditions required every round to push myself around the boat. Now, I did have that extra card that let me spend a card to drive even further on the boat, which is cool, except even with that card and even with the extra boat movement, they still zoomed past me on that track. Now, this is the first time I've seen them get that far on the track. This is not a normal occurrence, but this is the kind of thing that can happen based on the randomness in the game and not really based on something I could have prevented or stopped because I don't know what's coming in the future. So there is definitely a bit of randomness here. This is not my favorite solo mode. It's also very difficult. I think I've won once, maybe twice, and that's always been on the easiest difficulty level. I bumped it up to the second difficulty level just because I feel like that's probably the normal mode in the game, and I should be able to get myself to the level where I'm able to beat that second difficulty level. But there's also those weather cards that I showed you. I don't know that I'll ever be good enough at this game to put those weather cards in the game, and that just seems like extra brutal because it's just another random slap in the face as you're playing the game. But again, if you're really good at this, you really understand how the chaining works, well, then maybe you throw in that extra difficulty because there are 4 difficulty levels, but I'm getting trounced by the second difficulty level pretty much every time I play this game. So all of this together, core mechanisms, very interesting interplay in how they work, really interesting sort of time management in this game. It should be a game that I really love. Now, granted, I said the AI is a little bit more random than I'd like, and I do get trounced quite a bit, which for me, I don't love the most difficult solo mode in the world, so that does make it a little less than exciting for me. But ultimately, I'm not sure why I feel this way, but this game is the kind of a game where if it was out or if somebody asked me to play it, I would absolutely play it because I really love what this game is doing. But for some reason, this game just doesn't shine for me. This is not a game that's going to win its place on the table over other games in my collection because there are other worker placement games. There are other tableau building, sort of engine building kinds of games that I'd much prefer to play over this one. So ultimately, my sort of feelings on this game are somewhat middling. I really enjoy what it's doing. It's a gorgeous game. It looks really great. The components are really great. It plays very nicely. It's a lot of fun when I play it. But there's just something about it that doesn't stick out for me. It's not something that I'm sort of desperately in love with that I want to play all the time. But I do really enjoy every play, and I definitely enjoy what's going on here. So if this is something that looks like you'd be interested in, definitely watch more of my playthrough. If you skip to the end right now, go back and see how this game plays because there's a lot of fun going on here, and this is a game that's going to be really good for a lot of people. For me, it's somewhere in the middle, and I'm happy to play it any time, but I don't know how long it stays around, and I don't know if it's going to beat out other games onto my table. I hope that this video was helpful for you. As always, if it was, I do ask that you like, subscribe, and click the bell icon below, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks.